What's up, you guys? Today's video is about basically the cost breakdown of if you're going to live out of your car, how much it's going to cost per month, and how much it's going to cost if you just want to use this as like a weekend overlander to take on like summer trips and whatever. So I made a little like expense sheet breaking down all of the expenses, and I've compared it between how much it'll cost per month, like if you want to live in here full time, how much will each month cost you? And if you want to just use it as a weekender, how much will the weekends cost you? The first and most obvious expense is gas, because you're obviously using this to travel. You want to go around, you want to see things. So depending on where you're located, you may have to drive super far distances to get to see the things you want to see, or you could maybe do a couple local traveling, like if you're going to do the weekend. Based off of, for me, the most driving I did in 1 month was all around Northern Ontario and then back down to Southern Ontario. And in gas, it was about 3,000 kilometers approximately, and it cost me $540.27 in gas. For that same month, I never ate out. I didn't eat any expensive food. I didn't go to restaurants. I bought all of my food, and to be honest, I ate like ramen noodles, oatmeal, canned soup, like very cheap stuff. I was very low on my food expense, and that came out to $126.77. As for water, I only buy 24 packs of water, and I believe I bought four, so that came out to like $11.16 or something like that. Next, I have like life expenses. So this is stuff like your vehicle insurance, your phone bill, and like whatever random activities you go on or whatever it is. So for my life expenses, I did $160. That covers insurance, that covers your phone, that covers maybe just like little excursions you want to go on depending on where you are. Now, obviously, this one varies person to person because maybe you don't have to pay for a phone, maybe you don't have to pay for insurance, maybe you're not doing any like fun side task thing. Next, I spent $427.85 on campgrounds and $16 on a day pass for a provincial park. Now, your campground expense can be way lower, but I just personally wanted to stay at some of these campgrounds because it was my first time in the area, and a lot of them are very cool and like very rare provincial parks that people maybe don't go to in Canada. So this expense is a lot higher. Most people won't spend anything on campgrounds, or they'll stay 1 or 2 nights. So having to be over $400 is very rare. That being said, the total for living full time in this vehicle for 1 month while traveling came out to $1,122.04. Now again, all of these prices can change and vary from thing to thing. I mean, I think for anybody doing this, you can easily get it under $700 and be able to travel and see a bunch of stuff. Like if you were to take away the campsites and put that $400 towards gas, you easily could have went another 2,000, 3,000 more kilometers, which is a ton more driving. So now what if you want to use this as a weekender? What if you don't want to live full time in your car, but you want some sort of rig, some sort of overlander that you can use to travel and do day trips or weekend trips here and there around your local area? So the longest weekend trip that I went on was about 4 days, and this costed me $144.02 in gas. This is because I had driven about 400 kilometers each way. It was fairly far from my home, and I wanted to go just kind of see it and explore that area for a little bit. So the gas is a little expensive on that. For the food, it was cheap because it was just a weekend thing. It cost $25.28. Again, I ate very cheap. I usually do. I don't spend a lot of money on food because that's something that can get really expensive fast. And when you're already paying for a lot of gas for driving, you don't want to have your food expense go up and up and up. Water, $2.97. Again, I just bought a 24 pack of water bottles. Life, I made it $40 because it's kind of like there's 4 weekends in a month. 4 weeks, 160 divided by 4 is 40. Again, life is so obscure for like how much it's going to cost, so you could even not include that in the total price. And then for the campsite, it cost me $90.82 because I stayed there for 3 nights. I actually spent the first night in a Walmart parking lot, so if you want to travel and go to new areas, again, you can wipe the camp expense completely off and just pay for your gas and your food, because you can stay in like either places that you find on iOverlander, or you can stay at places like Walmart or other free parking places. So the total for that weekend came out to $263.09. Again, you can make this a lot cheaper or a lot more expensive depending on what you want to do. For weekends, you can also just buy a tent and you can go and camp in these campgrounds. You don't have to make a build like this. It really just kind of depends on what your preference is. So I'm going to show you the sheet. You can pause and take a look at all the expenses. Here's the total cost right there of everything. And then there's the final result of how much everything costs combined. And then some people were asking me how much the build costs. overall, I only spent money on wood. Everything else was just kind of sourced from family or friends. And to be honest, there's not really much going on. So the wood, I think, costed me about $200. It was pretty expensive time for wood. You could easily do this for cheaper. You could find your own wood. It's really not a lot. It's just a couple 2x4s and a couple sheets of wood. If you want to see what my build looks like, I did an entire like car review showing you like everything about this and how you could do your own. So go check that out if you want. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next week.